You didn't choose the adventuring life, it chose you. Time to kick down some doors and take some poor monster's treasure. Welcome to Munchkin. Munchkin is a card drafting game for 3 to 6 players from Steve Jackson Games. Players will take on the role of adventurers trying to make their way through a dungeon trying to reach level 10. Will you be able to slay the monsters and collect the booty? Or will you be left with a cursed duck on your head? Let's find out in Munchkin. Lay the game board in the center of the table. This particular one is the Deluxe Edition. Each player will choose a color, take both pawns, and place whichever sex they would like on the first space on the board. The other will stay in front of the player. Shuffle the door cards and treasure cards and deal 4 of each to each player. Place the piles face down on the appropriate spaces on the board. Now you are ready to play. Before we go any further, there are a few things you should know first. At no point during the game can your level go below 1, but your combat strength, or the monster's combat strength, can go below 1. After combat, the only time you can level up is if you kill a monster. You cannot collect the rewards for defeating monsters in the middle of a combat. You must finish the fight. You must kill a monster to reach level 10. There are 3 places a card can be: equipped, carried, or in your hand. If a card is equipped, it is on the table and your character can use these items during combat. If it is carried, it is on the table sideways and face up, but not actively being played. Items must have a gold value to be carried. This includes cards with the words no value. If it is in your hand, well, you get the idea. You can discard a race or class, play a go up a level or hireling item card, or play a curse at any time. Next, you can trade an item, change items you have equipped, and play a card you have just received when you are not in battle. Also, you can play a new class or race, sell items for levels, and play an item on your turn only. And finally, if there is a conflict between the cards and the rules, go by the cards. Everyone starts as a level 1 human with no class. Look at your 8 cards. If you have any race or class cards, play one of each type by placing it in front of you. If you have any usable items, you can play them by placing them in front of you. According to the rules, decide who goes first by rolling the dice and arguing about the results and the meaning of this sentence and whether the fact that a word seems to be missing any effect. Play continues clockwise around the table. Your turn consists of 3 phases: kick open the door, look for trouble or loot the room, and charity. During kick open the door, draw 1 card from the door pile and place it face up in front of you. If it is a monster, you must fight it. If it is a curse, it is immediately applied to you and is discarded unless it has a persistent effect. If you draw any other type of card, it either goes in your hand or you can play it immediately. If you fought a monster during the first phase, skip this phase. If you didn't, then you can look for trouble or loot the room. If you look for trouble, you will play a monster from your own hand and fight it. If you loot the room, draw a 2nd card from the door deck and place it in your hand. During the charity phase, if you have more than 5 cards in your hand, you must play enough cards to get you to 5 or below. If you can't, you must give your extra cards to the player with the lowest level. If there's a tie for lowest, distribute as evenly as possible. If you are the lowest, discard the excess. Once you are finished with charity, play continues to the next player. Combat rules are simple. First, figure out your combat strength by adding your equipped items to your level number. Compare your combat strength to the monsters. If you have the higher score, you win. If you tie or it is lower, you lose. If you win during combat, you receive the number of treasures listed on the card. If you tie or lose, follow the directions on the bad stuff section on the card. If you find that a monster is too much for you, you can ask for help from other players. But be warned, help doesn't often come free. Players can barter to give you help by asking for some of your treasures or items in your hand. Players can also play cards to keep you from winning by doubling monsters, adding monsters, or increasing their combat strength. If no one will help you, you can choose to run away. If you run, you do not get levels or treasure and you cannot loot the room. Roll the die. You successfully escape on a 5 or more. If you fail, Do what it says in the bad stuff section. If you are fleeing from multiple monsters, you must roll for each monster you are fleeing from. If someone was helping you, but the rest of the players stopped you both, you must both roll to flee. If you are unable to beat the monster and it causes death, you will lose all your stuff. Your character will come back with the same level, class, race, and curse cards, and if you have the half-breed or super munchkin cards, you will keep those as well. Lay your cards out face up on the table. The opponent with the highest level will take one card, then the opponent with the next highest level, and so on. Once all opponents have taken a card, discard the rest. If you are dead, you cannot receive cards for any reason. When the next player starts their turn, your character will magically appear. From that point, you can only gain cards from charity or gifts, but you can help others in combat with your level, your race, or class abilities. On your next turn, start by drawing 4 cards from each pile and playing any legal cards you want to, just as you did at the start of the game. Then, take your turn as normal. There are a few simple rules when it comes to items. You can only have one headgear equipped because you only have one head. You can only be wearing one pair of footgear. You can only have 2 handheld items equipped because you only have 2 hands. Anything that is labeled a big item requires 2 hands to equip, and you may only carry 1 big item. Finally, you may only equip 1 set of armor. As a reminder, all of these rules are true unless you have a card equipped that says otherwise. In order to win the game, you must defeat a monster to reach level 10, unless a card states otherwise. Once you have kicked some monster ass and reached level 10, congratulations, you have succeeded in being the greatest adventurer ever. And that's Munchkin.